everyone to the Times NIE Margadarshi Career Counseling Workshop in association with Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. In these unprecedented times where there has been a complete shift in the evolution process of the Class 12 board exams, we understand the challenges faced by students passing out of Class 12 in choosing the right career option for themselves. Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, an institution of eminence established in 2003, is a multidisciplinary deemed to be university that offers more than 180 academic programs through 10 departments across 6 campuses in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka. It is the youngest institution to be awarded with an A++ grade by the NAC and has been ranked among the top 300 in the world and top 5 universities in India in the University Impact Rankings and the latest NIRF rankings, respectively. It's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Sudhir K, Ms. Lakshmi, career counselors, and Mr. Arun Bharti, robotics engineer from Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. Mr. Sudhir comes with almost 4 years of work experience primarily into higher education, CSR, NGO schools. He has got hands-on experience in career guidance sessions and handling counseling teams, training and development. Mr. Arun Bharti has earned a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. He has worked as a robotics engineer for 2 years. His specialization areas are autonomous systems and industrial law. Ms. Lakshmi has completed MTech in computer science and engineering and has 4 years of teaching experience in different domains like CS and PCM in engineering colleges and polytechnic institutions. On behalf of Times NI and Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, we welcome students, principal, teachers, and parents of KRM Group of Schools and Sriniketan Pathshala. Over to you, Mr. Sudhir.
Thank you, Radhika ji. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, and thank you, Times of India, for giving this opportunity to interact with all the eagerly waiting school students and all. So, good afternoon, students. I hope all of you had a good lunch and eager to listen what I'm going to speak and all. And the main topic today is career guidance, because all of you are wondering or at that age thinking about what kind of careers are good for me, what kind of jobs are awaiting for me, and what are the courses you need to pursue so that after 4 years you will be having more opportunities. All these dilemmas, all these fears you people are having, and there are very less people who can give you proper guidance and all. But one thing I want to tell you, students, career decision is entirely yours. The thing is, if you're purchasing a dress, you are the person who should go to the trial room, look at the fit, then only purchase that dress. Likewise, career is also for lifetime. That is what you need to do. If you are getting into a particular career, first you need to check it will fit for you or not, or the difficulties, what are the difficulties you will be facing if you pursue a particular stream, particular branch. All these things you should understand. Okay, so I will give all these insights, how to make a career decisions, what are the options available today, and what is the scope of technology oriented courses, and what are the competitive exams today. All these things we will be discussing in today's session and all. Before that, let me give you a brief introduction about our university. We are Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. So we are one of the premier institutes in our country, and our main motto today is to give you more value based education. Okay, so and we are collaborated with almost 190 foreign universities. Exactly, the number is 190 foreign universities, because today all of you are having an aim to do your final year or aim to complete your masters abroad and all. We will be giving you that opportunity once you are an Amrita student and all. And we have 6 campuses spread across 3 states. Our main campus is in Coimbatore and all, and our chancellor is one of the world renowned humanitarian. All of you might have heard her name, she Mata Amrita Anandamayi Devi ji and all. Okay, and we not only offer engineering, because a lot more people know about our courses as engineering courses. We offer art, media, journalism, humanities, management, allied healthcare, medicine and sciences. Almost 20,000 plus students are currently undergoing in these programs in Amrita University and all. Let's get back to today's topic, which is in very much need, because your teachers, your parents, all of these people will help you to get academic skills. All of you, these people help you to get good grades and all. But all this keeping aside, what are the things which you should be noting down while making a career decision? That is what I will be explaining you today. First, look at all the career options available today equally. Do not judge them, like do not differentiate them based on opportunities. People think for a particular career opportunities are less. Don't get into that dilemma. Every career today is having equal opportunities. and each of them are equally competitive, equally good. Okay, career in engineering is good, career in hotel management is good. It has its own benefits. Every career is unique in its way, unique in its opportunities, and nothing is less than others. It's entirely dependent on you, how you make name for yourself. Okay, take for example, people might have made a good business plan and kept a business, they would have earned crores. People who are good at programming right now, they are doing a good programming skills, and they're settled in Google or Facebook. You should have that capability. How you can make a name for yourself, it's dependent on you. It's not dependent on course, it's not dependent on branch you choose. Entirely it's up to your capability. That's why while choosing a career, utmost important thing which you need to do is having desire, having passion towards that subject, towards that group. That is vital. I will give you 4 steps while choosing a career. These 4 steps are very much essential. The first step is knowing about yourself. That means, what is your interest actually? What subject you like? Math related careers, what are those? Do a research. Or you like biology, biology related courses, what are there? What are the opportunities there? Or you have interest in arts. In arts, what are the courses like designing or media houses? So likewise, first finding your interest. Second one is finding your skills. What skills you have. Today, some careers require you to be more communicative, or some careers require to be more risk taking. Some career requires to be more analytical. Some careers require you to be more adaptable. Likewise, first understand what skill you have, what kind of person you have. Because some people doesn't want to work full week, 7 days a week. They want to work for 5 days, they want to take 2 days holidays, like a corporate IT corporate structure is that. But a doctor, if you want to become a doctor, there is no holiday for you. You might go to your clinic, or you might go to the hospital almost 16 hours you might need to work. And some people want to earn more. Likewise, what you value the most? You value money, you value family and work life balance, or you value helping others. Some people doesn't want money, they want to get into jobs to help others. First step is very much crucial. Understanding what skills you have, understanding what is your passion and desire. The second step is exploring all the possibilities. It's as simple as that. When you are going to purchase a dress or smartphone, first thing you will ask is, for 15,000, show me all the available models, right? Likewise, career also, when you are making a career decision, it's like your father is investing, right? It's not just a money your father can throw away for your education. They are earning hard so that they can give you, they can facilitate this resources, economic resources to you, so that you can have a good education. That's also a huge investment. Education is also today a huge investment from your father's side. When your father is spending that much amount, how much research you are doing about those careers? You should ask your teachers or your guidance counselors, or you should search in Google, what are the career options available after +2 for a PCM student? Have you done that? Because you will only, today you are only interested to search about new teasers, trailers, posters or games. But you should start doing this when you are really pursuing a career, choosing a group. Do that research. You have the resources available. You have a smartphone with good internet. That's why you are able to listen to this session. So do that search, exploring all the possibilities and narrowing it down. Today, you will, if you're purchasing a dress, you will see all the models, 10, 20 models, and you'll narrow it down to 2 choices or 3 choices. Likewise, career also, narrow it down to 3 choices. Have 3 plans. If you are preparing for JEE, if not JEE, any other exams you are writing. There are a lot more exams, competitive exams for engineering. Likewise, if you are writing NEET, if you are not cracking NEET, what next? Have 3 plans: plan A, plan B, plan C. These are the backup plans you should have. And the third one is setting a proper goal. So first thing is knowing about yourself. Second thing is narrowing down, having 3 plans. And third thing is to reach your end goal. What kind of goal you have? Today, you want to become an engineer or a programmer, or you want to work in Google. What is the plan you are making? Develop a plan for that. So I am in 12th standard now. I want to write an engineering entrance exam. I want to join JEE, or I want to join NEET. I want to become the best doctor. I want to have my own hospital. Have a goal, have a dream for yourself. Okay, the first step is putting all this into action, because a lot more students today are getting distracted easily. They'll just play with their smartphones, or they will just watch TV, or they'll just chit chat with their friends. Lot more people, students are facing this issue. They'll plan everything properly, but they won't have that perseverance. If any small difficulty arises, automatically you will tend to leave. Don't do that. Have that perseverance. That is very much vital. Okay, and the next step is having realistic ambition. Realistic ambition in the sense, because a lot of you are today getting inspired by the people surrounding you, either your relatives or your friends or friends' sons. All these people, you'll be getting inspired by them. So the thing is, you should have a realistic ambition. Realistic ambition in the sense, because people who watch a movie called Singham, and they tend to become, they want to become police. Do you really understand the difficulties in doing a police job? Okay, that you should understand. As a doctor, because your parents are doctor, what kind of difficulties they are facing, have you talked with them? So you should understand the difficulty in a particular career. So you should have a realistic ambition. Can your parents afford it? That is also very much important. Have a realistic ambition, understand your parents capability, and understand what are the resources you have with you. Then what are the errors all of you are doing these days is having parental pressure, because your parents are suggesting you to get into a particular career. And lot more people follow mob mentality, or lot more people join some particular career just because they might get a government job, or they might get a job abroad and all. Have a discussion with your parents related to career. Okay, these kind of things you should do. You should start doing it. Give your parents awareness about a particular career, because when your parents will take you seriously, because if you are getting a good marks in a particular subject, see that I am getting in maths, I'm getting 95 98 marks, I want to join only PCM. Will your parents disagree to that? No, because they can see it on hand. You showed it to them, you can get good grades in maths. They won't say no to that. If you are not getting good marks, or if you are not interested, passionate about it, tell them these are the career options in engineering, or these are the career options in medical side I learned today. I am really interested in this. When you're doing more research and telling it to our parents, they really think he is genuinely interested in it. Why should we discourage him? Okay, these are the errors which you should not be doing. Okay, almost 600 plus career options are there today after 12. How many of you know at least about 10 career opportunities? Please raise your hand. At least 10 career options after 12. Today almost 110 people have attended, but only 5 people know about at least 10 career options after +2. This is very bad. You should do research, right? I'm not telling about scientific research. Just Google it. Google about the career options after 12. Lot more options are there. You should be aware of these things. Okay, as a PCM student, for a PCM student, engineering is one thing. Engineering means you can do computer science, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, electronics and communication engineering, biotechnology, aeronautical engineering, automobile engineering, chemical engineering, robotics engineering. These are all the specializations available for you as an engineer. And you can pursue any engineering today, any specialization, but you should be passionate about it. You should be having knowledge about it. So becoming as a computer science engineer means what kind of jobs you'll be getting into, or if you're interested in mechanical engineering, what kind of jobs you'll be getting into. Okay, these things you should think. Do not just think about I want to do engineering. Don't give that statement to your parents, I want to do engineering. Engineering means what engineering you want to do, what branch you want to do, what kind of job you want to do. Plan all these things. Okay, and what are the new age career options? Okay, there are some booming technologies coming up, because when you're choosing a group, you should think ahead, like after 4 years, what will be the opportunities for a particular branch, what will be the opportunities for a particular course. Likewise, for a PCM students who is interested in engineering, these are the booming technologies. These are the specializations right now available, like robotics, data analytics, artificial intelligence, and blockchain, game coding. All these things are having huge opportunities today. My colleague Arun will give you more insights in these topics, because he will give you more insights about the blooming technologies today, because you should all be aware of it. Without technology, there is nothing happening today in today's world, because either it's in design, either it's in art, either it's in what we say, commerce, everything, everywhere technology is used. There is a heavy dose of the heavy usage of technology in every sector, in medical side. Okay, so that's why you should be aware of these technological things. And if you are a PCB student, you are interested in going into medical side, you can become a doctor by getting into courses like MBBS, BDS, BAMS, I mean Ayurvedic, homeopathy, Unani. This kind of doctors you can get into. Or if you are really interested in other courses like technician courses or pharma courses, B pharmacy is there, D Pharm is there. D Pharm, I mean MPC students can also do it, I mean PCM students can also do it. Or if you are really interested in nursing, biotechnology, you can do it. Or you don't want to take these courses, you just want to get into science related courses, like you want to do bachelors of science, botany is there, zoology is there, nursing, radiography. These courses are available for you. Likewise, in biology, I mean in medical side also, there are new age careers happening, which are like nutritionists, dietitians, or audiology people, hospital management people, okay, healthcare management people, sports physiotherapy. Okay, these are also new technologies, new booming careers which are coming up for biotechnology students. Okay, and you should take care of these things. I mean, you should at least note down these things and at least do a search, Google search after this session, if you're really interested to become a doctor. First thing is, what you need to do is have a 5-year plan. Okay, after completing 12th, what kind of exams you want to write. My colleague today, Lakshmi, will help you understand what are the competitive exams available for you as a PCM student, If you want to get into engineering, what are the competitive exams? If you want to get into, become a doctor, what kind of competitive exams are there? Okay, please, after this session, she will be taking that. She will be helping you to understand what are the competitive exams available and how to crack them. What are the strategies you need to follow? Everything will be given to you in this session. Okay, and as in commerce students are having very much very much uh, opportunities which are very much earning. Okay, people don't know these things. These people earn more also, commerce students, like chief financial officers, financial analysts, accountants. There are some competitive exams to become an accountant, or you can get into normal degrees like BCom, BBA finance. Okay, all these things you can get into, BCA, computer applications. You can pursue these courses. Okay, what are the new age career options available today for commerce students? You can get into auditing, you can get into investment, or you can work in a bank, stock broking, or you can become a financial analyst, venture capitalist. You know, venture capitalist is the word today, where people tend to invest in startups who they will take advice from. This commerce students, I mean the commerce who completed these commerce degrees only. Okay, these are the new age career options available for 12 students who completed commerce. And for an art student, what kind of opportunities are there? Management science, fine arts, event management, fashion designing, animation and multimedia, a spectrum of opportunities available for art students. Do not look in a mean way saying art students doesn't study and all, but art students have huge opportunities. They can get into journalism, event management, photography, sculpture, acting. Lot more opportunities are there for art students today. Okay, you can look at all these things. If you're interested in designing, you can get into textile design, fashion design, or jewelry design. Or if you're interested in management, you can get into hospital management, or you can get into event management. All these things you can get into. Main thing is, you should understand, in arts also there are new age career options coming up. Like you can become a sound designer, app designer, can become a content writer. Writing is huge today, because there are a lot more new websites are coming and more opportunities for people to give good content for that website, like radio jockey, fashion stylists and all. These are the options which are available for art students. Today, I want to tell you students, if you're really interested and get the required skills required for a particular career, it's easy to get a job. You know, the first question every company asks while hiring you, First question every industry asks while hiring you is, what skills you have? What are your strengths? Okay, so to know that, I mean, this is the first step which I told you while choosing a career. First thing is understanding about yourself. So as an Amrita University is giving you an opportunity to know about your skills. This is a free test, www.mychoicemyfuture.com/Amrita. This test is available for you students. You can get insights about your personality, like how much communication skills you have, how much responsibility skills you have, how much risk taking skills you have. This test will give a 20-page report. It's not an academic test, it's a fun test. Please take it. The report will be sent automatically to your mail. You will get benefit out of it. With this test you will be able to understand more about yourself. Okay, my colleagues will type this link in the chat box, www.mychoicemyfuture.com/Amrita. Please take this test. And first thing is complete the first step in pursuing the or taking a career, informed career decision, which is knowing about yourself. Okay, main thing is, as a student today, you should be thinking about future. What will be the future for me? The future will be more automated, because today, because of the pandemic, lot more industries got affected and human labor is reduced, and they want to automate everything, manufacturing industries, and lot of people want to move to digital payments. Today nobody is going to banks to transfer money. Lot more digital payments, digital services will be coming, and work might move to more online sources, and automation, production, drug design and pharma companies, AI and ML applications, artificial learning and all. Arun will be helping you to explain what are the blooming technologies today, like artificial intelligence and machine learning. Okay, so these are the things which you should be considering while making a career decision. Not just your friend is joining a particular career, your relatives are got a good job because of that particular branch. Don't do these errors. Get into your particular career thinking about the future opportunities. That is vital. Okay, as a student today, you should have these skills mandatorily. You should be good at critical thinking. You should be having problem solving skills. Okay, solving different problems with, or coming up with different solutions for all the problems we are facing, and try to come up with new products, new innovations. Have good creativity skills, good communication skills, collaboration skills, data literacy and digital literacy. That is very much vital, because today technology usage is there in every sector. Please understand the importance of it. As a civil engineer or as a doctor also, you should be utilizing devices, technology devices. So you should be having at least minimal knowledge, and you should be having good communication skills. Today you are having good communication skills, but try to interact with more people, try to socialize, improve those skills. You are not collaborating with your friends while doing any project. Teamwork is very much essential today. Okay, I am suggesting all of you students today, after this session, try to make a plan, next 5-year plan, stick it somewhere where you can see daily, so that you can easily understand what are the problems you'll be facing, and you can overcome those easily. Your parents are working hard to give you this valuable education. You should be working hard towards that. You should be, no matter what the difficulty today, only problem you are facing is get good grades. It's not that hard if you concentrate. The thing which I want to tell you students is, ample opportunities are awaiting, but get the required skills necessary. It's as simple as that. If you are having the skills, companies will hire you for sure. Industries are waiting for the people who are having the required skills. Okay, don't get into the dilemma. People will be saying there are no jobs and all. Don't do that. If you are having the required skills, it's easy to get a job. It's as simple as that. Okay, I think with this I will end this session, and I will give it to Arun to give you more insights about blooming technologies, what kind of applications are there for these blooming technologies, and how to approach them, and what kind of courses you can pursue. All these things he will be explaining you, and with this I will be giving my session to Arun. Arun, you can take it from here and explain students about, or give insights about all these blooming technologies. Thank you.
Thank you, Sudhir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Sudhir. Thank you so much. So let me share my screen. Okay, very good afternoon once again. So for the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'll be taking you through a journey for an introduction to the blooming technologies, the technology that has got a huge future, and the technologies that you can expect to revolutionize our lives for the next 10 to 15 years. So quickly, I'll just give you a glimpse, a brief outline of what we'll be seeing today. What are the technologies that we'll be focusing on? So first, we'll be starting with AI and machine learning, and then we'll get into data analytics, big data, and then we'll see how these two big terms or big techs are integrated with related with data science. And from there, we'll slowly jump into ethical hacking. From there, we'll go through robotics, cybersecurity, blockchain, and then Internet of Things. Hope it sounds interesting and exciting. Uh, with the first technology, artificial intelligence. The term itself is self-explanatory. It says an intelligence that's created artificially. So what is intelligence basically? Intelligence is like the ability to think and make decisions or make a choice on the data is available with the information that's available. So we human beings differ from other living creatures with just this one quality, intelligence. That's what we call intelligence. We have something called sixth sense, commonly referred as the common sense. So this common sense gives us the ability to think and make a decision. So the process of incorporating this human-like intelligence, human-like decision making into a machine is what we call artificial intelligence. So let's take a look at some of the major applications of AI. So AI is used in autonomous vehicles, such as self-driving cars. So you have seen self-driving cars like move on its own maneuver. It just work. You would have seen it in movies and YouTube videos and stuff where it's put on autopilot. It moves. It detects an obstacle. It stops. It takes a different path and goes. So their AI engine plays a major role in the decision making. And then in healthcare. So for example, let's say AI has revolutionized the way diseases are diagnosed these days. So let's say for a cardiovascular problem, if it has to be diagnosed, before the patient has to undergo a lot of checks, a lot of process in order to diagnose it. But with the help of AI today, just with the retinal scan of your eye, the AI engine can say if the person is vulnerable, if he has got any cardiac related problems or not. It has become so handy and so easy and simple to diagnose a disease. And in finance and banking, it's used for predicting the pattern for fraud prevention and data theft and stuff. In social media, let's take an example. Let's take YouTube or Instagram. In YouTube, let's say I just go search a few videos with CSK winning the IPL championship for the fourth time. I just got a little nostalgic. I just go to YouTube and I just want to relive the moment, the previous three championships that CSK has won. So just go type CSK winning moments in YouTube. Then I'll just go through a few videos. Then I just feel happy. I just close the browser. The very next time when I come in, I can see something called, or even while watching the video on the side, there will be something called suggestions. The suggestions I can see video showing up that is related to either related to CSK or cricket or MSD or some other cricketer, something related to cricket, CSD and CSK and MSD. So how is this happening? So there's AI engine that's behind your YouTube, and there it does all this decision making. It sees, okay, this fellow is interested in CSK and is also interested in cricket, so let me start pushing him more CSK and cricket related videos. And in e-commerce, the same applies with the e-commerce. Let's say today I just go to any of the e-commerce sites like Flipkart or Amazon. I just search for a product. Okay, I want to buy a mobile phone. I just search for mobile phones. Then I just close the browser. The next time I open the website, I have a tab called things you might like or things you might find interesting. So there it will start recommending mobile phones because it has found out the pattern. The engine has got an information. Okay, this fellow is interested in mobile phone. He's wanting to get a mobile phone. So let me start giving him so many options. So he's like, he can't say no to it. So that's how AI engine is used. AI is used in these places. The next technology is big data. So big data refers to a massive volumes of unstructured and raw data that is obtained from various sources. So now let me just give you a series of numbers. You tell me the pattern. 1, 3, 5, 7. I give you 4 numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7. Can you just tell me what is the next number that comes in this series? Can you just use a chat box? 1357. So what's the next number that comes in the series? Okay, you're saying 9. Cool. Good. 9 is the next digit, next number in the series. So how is this happening? Because you see every number is getting incremented by 2. 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 2 is 7. So every number is getting incremented by 2. So now here I have a pattern. I'm able to figure out, okay, every number is getting incremented by 2. So the very next number is 7 plus 2, which is 9. So I've got a pattern here. So now I'll just give you 3 numbers, 1, 11, and 15. So is there any relevance between these? Is there any trend, any pattern? Nothing. There's no pattern at all. 1, 11, and 15. So I can't figure out what's coming next. What's the next number that's coming? So I can't predict. So this big data is this kind of a data where there is no observable or easy or reoccurring pattern. So it is like some random values where you can't easily figure out or relate and create a pattern. You can ask, what's the use in having such a huge, enormous raw and unstructured data, where it's going to help me? So I'll give you one real life example. So we are all quite common or known for this weather forecasting. So during the rainy days, we'll be all eager in the morning. Not now, before the pre-COVID scenario. When the morning during a rainy day, we'll just wake up, we'll keep watching the news for any announcement for holiday because of the rain. So they are the weather forecasting. How does the weather forecasting agency decide on the whether it's going to rain or not tomorrow? So you just go type in, even you type in Google, what's the weather today? It gives you a data of for 10 to 15 days before and after. So how is this happening? How are they predicting it? You see, today I'll have a weather, let's say it's 37 degrees Celsius, for example, let's say 36 or 37 degrees Celsius. Next day it might go to 33, 32. You can't find an easy observable pattern there with the temperature. It is like very drastic change, some very unstructured data. You can't find any relevance or relatable trend happening with the temperature data. So in such cases, big data is used to collect such data, and we'll see how are we able to create a pattern, create a trend, and get a conclusion and predict the temperature as well. We'll just see in the upcoming slides. So another example is the pharmaceutical drug evaluation. Any drug to come to the market for consumers consumption, it has to undergo a series of evaluations, series of tests. So it includes multiple body types, multiple age groups, every gender, and different locations, people with different food habits, people with different health conditions. So there's so many things goes into consideration, and so many tests are being done. So even there, you don't find any easily relatable trend that's happening. That big data plays a huge role. So now let's just keep big data aside, and then we'll just take a look at data analytics. What data analytics is. So now data analytics is nothing but analyzing an existing with existing data, trying to figure out the pattern with the pattern, analyzing the pattern, and making a decision on it, making a decision based on the data that we have. That's what data analytics. Now what we did with 1357 is data analytics. We have 5 numbers. So when I ask what comes next, you just try to figure out the pattern between these numbers. It is like each number differs. The difference between the consecutive numbers is 2, which means 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 2 is 7. So we found out the pattern there, and then we made a decision. So this is data analytics. I just gave you a simple example, but in real life, your analytics is not this simple. The same example that we saw, YouTube prediction algorithm, that is a data analytics. It has analyzed my data. It has found out the pattern. Okay, this fellow is interested in cricket. This fellow is a fan of CSK, and is a fan of my MSD. So let me start pushing him more MSD related videos, cricket related videos, CSK related videos. So there it found out the pattern, and then it did the data analysis there, and then that's how it suggested me new videos. So applications of data analysis is like in social media, like I say, YouTube, even Instagram, you just go type some tech related page, you search for some tech related page, very next time in the common feed, you start getting more tech related posts. You type something related to sports, from the very next time you'll start getting more sports related suggestions. And even in e-commerce, how is this? Recently we had this big billion day sale. So how was this date decided? Every year it happens in the month of October or November. So how is the date for Big Billion Day is decided? The reason why majorly Big Billion Day happens in the month of October, November is because you have a lot of festivals coming up. You have Diwali in November, then you have Christmas in December, and there's a lot of festivals coming, and then Dasara as well. So that's why. So the dates are fixed or decided based on the analysis of the buying trends of buyers. So if they have the data of like of so many years. They have analyzed, okay, people have been more interested in buying something during this period because they'll be interested in getting new clothes for Diwali. They'll be interested in getting new appliances for Diwali. So this is the right time to start pushing them more products, giving them more discounts, make them buy more. So that's why it's happening there. So these are the major applications of data analysis. Now we saw big data. Big data is an unstructured raw data, and data analysis trying to make a decision based on the data that we have and finding out the pattern and making a decision on it. So data science is like a bridge in between. Data science gives you the methods, algorithms, and the system to get or predict a pattern from the unstructured data and to convert it into structured data. So that is what data science is all about. So now ethical hacking with the term you all might have heard of this, come across very often. Hacking, you would have seen it in movies, series, stories, and stuff. So hacking is nothing but breaching into someone's private space, private belonging. Let's say their computer or their account or their email account or bank account, whatever account it is, breaking into illegally breaking into someone else's property without their consent is what hacking is. So ethical hacking is nothing but trying to think in the perspective of a criminal, trying to think in the perspective of criminal, how he'll attack, what are the ways that he'll look for, what are the vulnerabilities he'll look for, what are the openings in the network he'll look for, and then trying to fix the problem. That's what ethical hacking is. It has also got multiple applications. So in finance and banking, as we all know, there's a lot of online transactions that's happening. So the network has to be secured from breaches, and then the softwares that we use, because it has got a lot of personal data. So now let's take Zoom. Zoom has now got my name, it has got my picture, it knows my date of birth, it knows my email ID. So it has got all my personal information. So it should be secured. If anybody can hack into or break into Zoom server where all my data is saved, so they can take all my personal data and they can misuse it. And also the mobile applications that we use. So the next technology is robotics. So robots are nothing but machines that can sense, think, and act. You can call any machine a robot if it can sense, think, and act. So robots are designed to help humans and assist human beings in the day-to-day life activities. Some major applications of robots are in industries, in the manufacturing industries, where they're used for picking, placing, welding, and the assembly lines as well. And in the medical field, they are used for operations, complex operations. We have robots that are used to carry out operations, complex, long, and processes or operations that require high precision. In such cases, robots are used. In space exploration, we all would have seen the Mars rover, Curiosity rover, that was like launched 10 years back, and very recently we had Perseverance rover. And then for military applications, we have we use drones and unmanned aerial vehicles for surveillance and for the border security. And in agriculture, robots are used for crop monitoring, harvesting, and seed sowing, and also for fertilizer spraying. And then cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is not much different from ethical hacker. So ethical hacker and cybersecurity work hand in hand. Ethical hacker is a person who, for him, everything is concerned, software, computer, everything. Whereas for cybersecurity, his major concern is only things that are connected to the internet. He works on the safety protocol of the internet, how to avoid people or how to avoid vulnerabilities in the internet presence. So now I am sitting here in India. Anybody who is sitting in Germany or in any other corner of the world can access my system if my computer is connected to the internet. So that's the biggest advantage as well as disadvantage of internet. So a cybersecurity analyst is more concerned about making this ecosystem secure, making this internet safe and secure, and from making it less vulnerable from hacks and attacks. So the next technology is blockchain. So blockchain, this is like a trending technology. It's been going crazy for the last decade. You all would have come across this because blockchain's major application, one of the main applications is cryptocurrency. I don't want to get much technical into blockchain, so I'll just give you a basic understanding what a blockchain is with the example. Now let's take your school. You will have a ledger in your school. Your school will have a record of all the students and the marks that they are scoring in their cycle test or midterm test. So now let's say instead of maintaining a hard copy, having a physical notebook or a ledger, they decide to make every data entry record, to be digital. So they get a new system. They decide the one system. They place it in the admin office. So every student's data is like stored in that device, entered in that device. All the marks that they have got over the test over every test, all the cycle test or midterm test is entered there. So anybody who gets access to the system can tamper the data, can get access to the data as well. Even if they change the data, it's not possible to find it out because there's no other copy to refer to. That's the only copy. If the system gets damaged, if the hard disk crashes or the hard disk data gets corrupted, all the data is lost. So this is called centralization. So everything is stored in one place. Anybody who gets access to it controls it. That's centralization. So now in order to get rid of this vulnerability, what I do is I'll just get 5 different systems. I place it in different locations within the school building or within a city or within a country, whatever it is. I place it in 5 different places and I have a copy of this same data, the same ledger, all the mark database, 5 separate copies in each system. Nothing is interconnected. Everything is separate. 5 different copies. So now I get an access to the computer that's placed in the admin building. I just go hack into it. I change the data. Now it can be verified. I can be caught because the data is not changed in all the other 5 copies that's been placed in the remaining computers. So by this, it can be verified. So this process is called decentralization because I'm just spreading the access everywhere. It's not just focused to one point. It is focused over a network, 5 different systems. So this is called decentralization. So blockchain is also a similar technology. That's how blockchain works. So now 5 systems, somehow I can figure out where it is, or I can hack into, I can destroy all the 5 systems. Fine. Just assume if this network is like contains like thousands of computers, millions of computers. If it's like millions of computers connected all around the globe, present in different parts of the world, connected everywhere, just assume how difficult it is to hack. Because to hack such a huge network, computer network of like millions of computers, I need a huge computing power in order to hack them. So it's not possible practically. So that's the basic fundamental lying principle of blockchain. So I can call blockchain, I can give a synonymous word as well. I would like to refer it as decentralization. Blockchain is what I refer to as decentralization. So one major application is cryptocurrency and supply non-fungible token. I'll just give you a task. You just go to Google today and you're searching or you're learning what NFT is, non-fungible token is. So that's the task I'm giving you today. So supply chain and logistics monitoring. Supply chain and logistics is nothing but maintaining the flow of materials. Let's say my courier service, I run a courier service. I'll keep a track of all the parcels that has been sent, where it is sent, where I have received. So all this data is crucial. If all these data is stored in one place, then I lose everything, and I can't retrieve. If a parcel goes missing, I can't retrieve. I can't track it. I don't know where it went, how it went, where it is, how it went missing, which is the place it went missing. I can't track it. So if I keep everything decentralized, if I use a blockchain technology, I can keep my data safe and secure. So the last technology that we'll be seeing is Internet of Things. So Internet of Things is nothing but it is a connection of physical systems or a network of physical system connected to the internet. That's what IoT is. So one good example is I can give your Alexa. So Alexa connected to the internet, and then you have a smart bulb. You connect a smart bulb also to the internet, and then using your Alexa, you can control your smart LED. I say Alexa turn on light, the light turns on. When I say Alexa turn off light, the light turns off. So this is how Internet of Things works. And another major application I can say in the healthcare industry is your smartwatch, where these days the smartwatch becomes so smart that it can track your blood pressure, heartbeat rate, your oxygen level in the blood, and your everything in and out. So I can just give access to my doctor. My doctor can go through these data, and I can keep a track of my health. And even when a patient is there admitted in hospital, you can have multiple sensors. You can connect, control, you can monitor it, and everything is connected to the internet. It's stored in the cloud, and a doctor sitting somewhere else can also access it and give suggestions, or he can carry out the treatment process. And then in agricultural field, let's say I own a piece of farmland, I just put in some crops, I place sensors everywhere, and me sitting in any corner of the world, I can monitor the health of my crop. I have sensors. With sensors I can detect the moisture and the temperature, moisture in the soil, the temperature of the soil, temperature of the atmosphere, temperature of the environment, humidity in the air, and with this I can decide and figure out the health of the crop, and if I have to water the crop or not. And from sitting somewhere else, I can connect my watering system also to the internet IoT. I can just press a button switch and my watering system turns on, my crops get watered, and everything can be automated. So basically it's nothing but automation, IoT. And fleet management is nothing but managing your troops. Like how the military manages the troops. Let's say I own a courier service. I have multiple trucks carrying consignments to different parts of the country. So I have a sensor fitted in every truck, and then me sitting in one corner of the country, I can view it. If all the sensors connected to the internet, I can figure out, okay, which truck is in which place, in which district, where is delivering. If I find out a truck to be idle, I can just reroute them to deliver another package. So these are the major applications of IoT. So that's it about all the blooming technologies. I think I've covered everything, pretty much everything. So next up, we have Ms. Lakshmi will give you a deep idea and deep understanding how to crack entrance exams. What are the different exams that are available for different streams, for science as well as non-science streams. And she'll give you tips for preparation, how to handle time management, pressure management. She'll give you a lot of insights. Definitely will be interesting. Just stay tuned. Keep up the excitement and keep listening. Thank you. Over to you, Lakshmi.
Thank you, Arun. So let me share my screen. Yeah. So hi, children. Good afternoon. So today, I'm going to discuss some of the competitive examinations that you'll be able to write after your class 12. Okay. So before going to discuss about the competitive examinations, I just want to know how many of you have taken a decision on what you will be doing after your 12th. Can you please just raise your hand? How many of you have decided on which course you will be choosing after your 12th? Very less number of students have raised their hands, maybe 20 out of 120. That's a very less count. So you should do a pretty good research on what you're going to do after your 12th. So this question will be there in your minds as well as your parents' mind. So it's, I think most of you are in 11th or 12th. So it is the time like your school life is going to end and your college life is going to start. So till now you have written so many examinations. It was just to move on to the next class or just to be the first place or to secure an A plus or A1 in your class or to be the first rank person in your class. So for these things you have written exams till now. But these competitive exams or these entrance exams which you are going to write after your 12th is going to decide your career and also your life. Your career is the most important part of your life. So what is your career? It will be formulating your life also. So this exam you need to study by giving that much importance. Earlier our teachers and parents used to tell like while you're going to write the 10th, it's the most important exam you're going to face. In 12th also they will say, but we need to secure a particular percentage of marks in your 10th and 12th. But this competitive exam or entrance exam is going to decide your life, because which career you are going to choose will be based on this entrance or this competitive examination. So let's discuss some of the important competitive examinations. So I think most of you are aware about some of the competitive examinations, at least like JEE, NEET, SAT, and Pearson, or some exams like that, CLAT and all. So we have a lot of examinations. So which career you're going to choose and which exam you're going to write, that you need to decide before your 12th ends. Yeah, so the first examination, the most, today a lot of people are opting for engineering. Almost all the PCM students are opting for engineering. So the most important examinations in India for this engineering course is the joint entrance examination, or the JEE exam, being conducted by the National Testing Agency. So there are two sets of examinations, JEE Mains and JEE Advanced. So let me tell you one thing. The number of applicants for this JEE examination is about 20 lakh. So think about the count. You're going to compete with 20 or 20 plus lakh of students. Till now, you have just competed with maybe 60 from your class, or maybe 100 from your school, maybe 500 in your locality or something. It's a pretty good count, like 20 lakh of students. And among this, you need to secure a rank, which will help you to join some IIT or some NIT or some centrally funded institutions. So now this exam is going to decide your life. That's why I have told you this exam is going to decide your life, because the amount of competition in these exams is very high. So after the JEE Mains examinations, only maybe in this 20 lakh, 3 lakh, below 3 lakh of students are eligible for this advanced examination. So those students will only be eligible to join IIT or NIT. So it's very hard to crack this exam. You need to have a consistent effort. And last year there was 4 attempts. So in each attempt, you'll be able to write all the 4 attempts and you can improve yourself. And this JEE score is being accepted by several state level engineering colleges, several universities and all. So the national level examination is JEE. After JEE, there are state level engineering exams. Some states are conducting their exams. For Uttar Pradesh, there is UPSCE. Telangana state, there is Telangana State Engineering and Medical Common Entrance Test. For Kerala, there is Kerala Engineering Entrance Examination. Maharashtra, there is separate entrance examination. But for Tamil Nadu, there is no separate entrance examination. No separate entrance exam is there. Based on your 12th mark, you will be admitted. Then there are university level entrance exams also. Like our university, Amrita University is conducting entrance examination. There is BITSAT is conducting entrance examination. So there are university level exams. Then Defense Academy or the organizations, government organizations are also conducting some of the entrance examinations for those students. So you have to identify which course or what you're going to do, what career you're going to pursue after year 12th. Then you have to check on what level of exams you'll be able to attend after year 12th. Some national level exams will be there, some state level exams will be there, some university level exams will be there, some other government funded organizations will be conducting some examinations. Then there are some institutions or some states which don't have entrance examination. So if you are in Tamil Nadu, you can opt for some states nearby. So you can think about it, whether you'll be able to write Andhra examination, Telangana state exam, Kerala state exam, Karnataka state exam, that you have to check and you have to take a decision. So now moving on to the next set of examination, that is the NEET exam. So NEET exam is a national eligibility cum entrance test. It's for the medical field. Whether you're opting for the Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery, or whether it's Bachelor of Dental Surgery, Naturopathy, or whether it's homeopathy, Ayurvedic medicine, all these, you have the entrance examination, that is national eligibility test. There was different university exams, means different level of exams like AIIMS and JIPMER. But now NEET has scrapped all the other examination. So there is only one exam to study medicine in our country. It's the national level examination, national eligibility cum entrance test. So the competition will be much, much higher. So there is only one test. So the competence or the number of students you're competing with will be very high. So for those students who will be opting for this NEET exam, they should also opt for some other careers, maybe like pharmacy or some other careers. So you should have some backup plans, either 2 or 3 plans. If one plan fails, if you're not eligible to get a seat through NEET examination, you can go for some pharmacy or nursing or some other paramedical courses. So whether it's B.Pharm, M.Pharm, PharmD, or any course, you need to, in the state level, different states are conducting examinations. National level pharmacy exam is only for the PG courses. And some states like Kerala, there is having KEAM. So Tamil Nadu, they can get admitted based on their 12th score. Then the Manipal University is conducting pharmacy entrance examination. Rajasthan University is conducting the pharmacy entrance examination. So there are universities which are conducting their own entrance examination, and also state level exams are there. So this you can keep as a backup plan. So after pharmacy, there is nursing. So those students who have a score and the need, they'll be eligible to join nursing. And also AIIMS and JIPMER is conducting, NIMHAMS and all is conducting separate exams for the nursing course. Then Indian Army is also conducting some entrance examinations for getting students into their institutes. Then JIPMER and KIMS and all, they are having separate entrance examination. So after nursing, let's move on to this agriculture, ICAR. It's the Indian Council of Agricultural Research All India Entrance Examination. So mostly students will be thinking about, I have studied physics, chemistry, mathematics. How could I join agricultural courses? So it's like there is an option for both the PCM and PCB students. There are two streams. For the PCB students, after writing ICAR, they can join for some specific set of courses, and PCM students also, they can join for another set of courses. So for the first category, biology category of students, they can go for agriculture, horticulture, fisheries, forestry, home science, sericulture, food science, biotechnology. Then for the mathematics students or the physics, chemistry, mathematics set of students, they can go for agricultural engineering, dairy technology, agricultural marketing and cooperation, forestry, food science, biotechnology. Then there are different universities which are conducting agricultural examinations. Chandigarh University, Lovely Professional University. There are different universities also which are conducting these examinations. So now moving on to the next step, that is the veterinary courses. So there is one examination called AIPVT, that is All India Pre-Veterinary Test. It's for the Bachelor of Veterinary Sciences. And some states, there are very less number of states which are conducting examinations. It's like a council which is conducting examinations for some areas like Nagaland, Mizoram, Assam, and some areas. Then there are universities also which is conducting veterinary sciences examination, entrance examination. Then for this commerce students, they can opt for law. It's the common law admission test, or CLAT is there. It is a national entrance examination conducted by 22 institutes in India. Then LSAT is there, that is the law school admission test. It is also a national level examination. Then some states are conducting entrance examination. For Kerala, it is like KLE, low entrance examination is there. For Telangana state, there is entrance examination, Andhra Pradesh. Then some universities are conducting entrance examination. Then Symbiosis and all, they are having separate entrance examinations for these low courses. So after the low courses, let's move on to the design part. For the designing courses, there is one entrance exam, national entrance examination in our country, that is AIEED, All India Entrance Exam for Design. And NIFT is also conducting entrance examination. So the one peculiarity of these entrance exams is that there are 3 stages of the examination. The first one is general aptitude test, then there is CAT, and personal interaction or personal interview will be there. So you should have never thought about there will be aptitude test for you to join these designing courses. Maybe there will be English, means verbal ability, or the English communication skill questions will be there. So it's out of what you have studied in your school syllabus. There are some topics which are out of your syllabus for this entrance examination which you're going to prepare. So for this design courses, there will be some degrees like Bachelor of Design, Fashion Design, Interior Design, Jewelry Design, Craft and Accessory Design, Virtual Arts, Applied Arts. All these are the courses which you can opt for while you have written this AIED exam, Design Entrance Examination. So now moving on to the next set, there is options for the commerce students like CA. There is Common Proficiency Test for the joining CA. Then Company Secretary Executive Entrance Examination, CACET is there. For CMI, there is separate entrance examination. For the 5-year integrated management courses, there is IPMAT exam. So all these are the exams that the commerce student can look forward. Now, for the art students, they can go for TEST National Entrance Test is there. Humanities and Social Sciences Entrance Test, HSCE is there. Regional Institute of Education Common Entrance Examination. So there are different levels of examinations for that a student can apply for. And some courses, irrespective of the stream you have chosen in your 12th, whether it's physics or biology or commerce or arts, means humanities, all these branches, there are some common entrance exam for all those students. So once you have to you have decided on this career or this option you're going to choose. Now you have to have a long research on which all are the exams being conducted. So you could opt for different category of exam. National level examinations are there, state level exams are there, university level exams are there, and there some states are having, there is no entrance examination also. So before moving on to the next part, I saw a question like a student, I don't know the name exactly. Okay. Someone has asked like he has studied both the mathematics and computer science. So what would be an option for him to pursue? So I think data science will be a better option. So data science means it's a combination of mathematics and also computer science, where he'll be having some unstructured or some large amount of data. From that he could process and take the or extract the knowledge using some algorithms or some theories and some scientific methods. So that is a good branch for the student who's interested in mathematics and also computer science equally. It's just a part from my opinion. And this data science means it will have some combination of this big data and data mining and machine learning and all those things. So I don't have already introduced you all these things. So data science is a good option for a person who is equally important in mathematics and computer science. To just do a good research on each area and then take a decision. And someone was asking about the paramedical courses. So there are different courses for the paramedical, means different paramedical courses are there. Maybe you can go for nursing or paramedical sciences are there, operation theater technologies, there cardiac technology, then lab technician, anesthesiologist, neurophysiology. There are different degree courses there. Radiology, optometry, physiotherapy, all these courses comes under the paramedical courses. And some of them are not having entrance examination. Directly based on your 12th mark, you will get admitted there. So now moving on to the next part, that is, I just want to know how you will get prepared for this competitive examinations. How you are going to prepare for this entrance or this competitive examinations. And I'll tell you some tips and tricks, which will, I think I will help you in a long run. So now we can look about the effective examination preparation strategies. So the first thing, you have decided on this is my career. So maybe I'm going to be an engineer, I'm going to be a doctor, or that is my first priority, or that is my first goal. So the first thing you should do is you should have, or you should believe in yourself. So that's the first thing you have to do. It's like you have decided on you are going to be an engineer, irrespective of the branch you have chosen, you're going to be an engineer. So it's your decision. So it's your responsibility to get into some institution. So that's why don't take a career or don't take a course based on your parents' opinion. You should be the first priority while you're choosing the course. You both can sit and talk and you can take a decision. So you should believe in yourself, and once you have chosen a goal, you should do or you should work for it. So there will be different obstacles or there will be different issues. Maybe you have prepared for JEE and the first attempt you will be able to score only below 50%. So it's like, what will you do? There are 3 attempts remaining. You should study harder and you should somehow write the next 3 attempts. Maybe you'll not get admitted in some IIT, but you can have some other prestigious institution. So this is the thing you should do. You should have a goal. You should set a goal. That is, you have to do it for yourself. You should have that feeling and then you can move forward. So try harder. If something happens, if you're not able to continue, just try harder, try again. And one more thing I want to say is, we have already talked about this career choice, which course to choose and all those things, what entrance exam to write. How this career choice is going to affect your life. So once you have chosen a career, maybe you are an engineer, your life will evolve around your career itself. Your personal life and everything will be evolving around your career. So that's why everyone is asking you to choose a career and you have to decide it very seriously. You have to do a lot of research, lot of courses. Whether it's engineering, you have to go for the different entrance exam, different institutions, about their rankings, what are the placement strategies. There are all these things you need to consider while you are taking a decision. You are studying for this so many years, maybe 5 years or 6 years, and the ultimate aim is to get a job. So you need to think about the placements before joining. So all these things, you have to do a good research, then you have to identify which is your career. And I'll tell you one more option. There are methods to change your passion to career. Some students will be passionate in doing something. So there is an option for them to change their passion to career. So there are new edge career opportunities. There are a lot of new edge career opportunities, and there are new trends are coming. So you can identify some areas, you can change your passion to your career. So you'll not have that feeling of doing a job or something. You have your passion as your career. So it's not like a job to you. So there are different options. So do a pretty good research and then decide. So now moving on to our path. So what are the effective methods, or what are the things you need to concentrate? So I'll just read out the things and then we can go for a good discussion. So the first one is planning, that is plan well. The second one is time management. Third one, choose subjects wisely, short notes, mock test, revision. So all these are some of the things you already know. I know that you have an idea regarding all these things. So we'll discuss this in detail. So the first one is planning. So we have that statement, a well-laid plan is half the work done. So planning should be proper and that much pakka. So what all things you need to plan? The first thing I would suggest is you have to set a goal. Yeah, I'm going to do BSc Pharmacy, or I'm going to be going for BSc Nursing, or I'm going to write NEET and I'm going to be a doctor. But if it's not possible, I'll go for some other paramedical courses. Yeah, my goal is set. After that, what I need to do? I need to check out which all are the entrance examinations I can write, whether it's NEET, whether it's JEE or some university level exams, what all are the exams I can write. So the goal is set, and after that you have decided on the entrance examination. So that is the first step you need to do for the planning. Then you have to decide on what will be the syllabus. So as we already mentioned, some courses will have some contents for the exams which are out of the syllabus, means which you have not studied in your 11th or 12th. So you have to go for that. Check out the syllabus, what all subjects are there, what all chapters are there. All those you need to have an analysis about the syllabus. Then about the question paper pattern. There are exams which are having essays now also. Most of the question papers will be multiple choice questions, but there are exams which are having that essay part. SAT is having that essay section. The next thing is duration. So you have 60 questions, 90 minutes duration. So for each exam, the duration and the number of questions will vary. So how much time you are going to allocate for the question. So all these things you need to consider before the planning. The next thing is marking scheme, whether there will be negative marking or whether it's 1/4 or 1/3 or half mark will be deducted for a wrong answer, how it will be. Or if there is no negative marking, how the exam is. The next is what is the mode of examination. How we are going to write, whether it's online or offline. There are entrance examination which is conducted on offline nowadays. Still there are exams. So all these things you need to consider while you're going to prepare a plan. You have to set up a goal. You have to ask for the examination, which all exams you need to concentrate, the syllabus, question paper pattern, durability, the marking scheme, and all those things you need to concentrate. Then you have to come up with a plan. Before that, you should decide on, your 12th classes have just started. So you have 1 year ahead to plan, or 1 year planning. So if it is 6 months, if it is 1 month, your plan should change accordingly to that. So all these factors you should consider before you prepare a plan. So planning itself is not enough. You have to plan. That is the first thing. After that, you have to implement it. That is, you have to implement it in full-fledged. It will take some time, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks to get it done. But once it is done, you have to strictly follow this. So this is the part of planning. So the second part is time management. So this plays a very crucial role in the competitive examination. So you have to use your time wisely. I'll tell you, every student or every person should have some timetable in their life. It's like you should follow it very strictly in all the days. There will be some days where you feel some messy and also you can leave it, but you should have a timetable of your own. The thing is that once you have a timetable to do all the things in your life, it will keep you more disciplined. So that discipline can help you in a long run. So you have to use your time very wisely. So maybe your friend, he can study a chapter maybe in 1 hour, but you should spend, according to your caliber and your this capacity, you have to spend maybe about 2 hours to complete the chapter. So for each one, this time management varies. And the time management should be there during your exams and before your exam. Before your exam, how much time you should allocate for revision and what is all the details you need to check. Whether you have an exam 1 week, maybe next Monday you're having an exam, you have this much time, how you should plan your studies. And during the examination, the time management is like whether you're having some essay questions, so which is having some 15 or 20 marks, how you're going to write it. Are you going to write this questions or the multiple choice questions first? How much time you're going to allocate for this subject, particular subject, maybe mathematics. You're very good at chemistry. Maybe the 10 questions in chemistry, you can write it in maybe 6 or 7 minutes. So the remaining time you can use it for writing the mathematics question. So all this should be there. So all these factors or all these criteria should be considered while you're thinking about this time management. And one more thing I want to tell is do not procrastinate, which means do not say like, yeah, from tomorrow onwards, I'll be good girl or I'll be good guy. I'll do everything on time. It's not like that. If you're going to start, you have to start today. So for the next day, it's like you'll end up with a bulk of tasks or a lot of tasks. So it will be difficult for you to do everything at a time. So time management is very, very essential, especially if you're going to prepare for a national level examination. So after this time management, we'll go for some topic like choose subjects wisely. I'll tell you, like you'll have, you yourself know some of your weaknesses, some of your strength. In the same way, you are weak at some mathematics. I'm very, very bad at mathematics. So I need to invest more time in mathematics. But in physics is okay for me. Yeah, so I need very less time for physics. So I need to choose my subjects wisely and I need to invest more time in them. And the next thing is for while preparing for a competitive examination, you should have or you should inculcate that habit of writing short notes about your equations, maybe trigonometric equations or linear equations, anything, these equations you can write, some chemical formulas, some physics equations and all those things. You can write it in short notes. So during just half an hour or some time before the examination, you can just go through these notes. And the next thing is smart study. Start trying to inculcate a method of smart study. Everyone's method of study is different. Someone will have to study for the whole day. Someone will end up in 2 hours, maybe half an hour, or their patterns will be different. Some will opt for group study. Some have to study alone, that too in full silence and all that. So just stick on to the method which is good for you. And so I kindly try to adopt some of the smart study methods or some of the memorable techniques and all those. So then the next thing is mock test. Yeah, I'm going to write NEET exam. I have studied all the topics. Yeah, I have covered all the portions, all the chapters and everything. But while you fail to take a mock test, your preparation will go worse, means waste. I could tell it clearly, mock test, we can call them as the real game changers. Now, different online sites and the facilities are available for the students, just use it. Try to write at least 1 or 2 mock tests in a week. It's like you yourself will adopt some patterns. So while you're trying to write a mock test, maybe 90 minutes, 60 questions, the first time you're trying to write the examination, you'll do with maybe 30 or 35 questions. So you know that you have studied everything, but you're not able to answer it. So you're not fast enough in answering these questions. So in the second time, you'll be somewhat careful and you'll come up with no criteria to attend more questions. So writing the mock test, it's just like practice. So practice as much as you can. And the next important factor is revision. So try to revise the topics at least maybe once a week or twice a week. So that will be good. Once and twice a week. So you should do this pretty good revision because we'll forgot all those formulas and everything we have studied. So do revision. While you're studying a new chapter, just have maybe half an hour a day or half an hour in 2 days. You can allocate it for revision. So that is also important. So for students, I would like to say that I know you'll not be motivated all the time. You'll be down sometimes. So you yourself has to motivate yourself and you have to be confident. So all the best to you and we wish you all the success from Amrita team. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lakshmi. Team NI would like to thank the school management, principal, teachers and students for taking time and participating in today's Margadarshi Career Counseling Workshop in association with Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. Special thanks to Mr. Sudhir, Mr. Arun and Ms. Lakshmi from Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham for giving an insight on the various career options available and information on blooming technologies and on competitive exams after 12th standard. I would request students to get in touch with Amrita team for any clarification in the given mail ID. Once again, thanks to KRM Group of Schools and Sri Niketan Patishala and Amrita team for making the session a grand success. Happy evening. Thank you all.